And so this, what I'm going to share tonight, God willing, I heard in the shir. I remember I was in yeshiva and I wanted to listen to a shir on Sukkot because we were about to say Tfilas Geshem. So I listened to the shir from Rav Asaf Bednarsh that he gave. It was already like almost 10 years ago that he gave this shir, but I remember this shir from yeshiva, and I always remember this shir every time I say Mashiv Haruach. And it has a lot to do with Parshas Lech Lecha. So I thought that since we started saying Mashiv Haruach, we haven't had a tefillah class since then, that it would be appropriate to talk about this, and also for this Parshas Lech Lecha. So if you have a chumash, that'd be good. I mean, if you're able to go online to Sefaria, that's also good, just so you could follow along in the chumash. But yeah, so I mean, before I'll ever get to chumash, we'll talk about just a little introduction. Mashiv Haruach Geshem is an interesting thing because we know that the halacha is if you forget to say Mashiv Haruach Geshem, you have to repeat the entire Shmona Esrei. And supposedly Rav Chaim has said that it's as if you didn't even daven, that like your Shmona Esrei, the reason you're saying Shmona Esrei again is because it's as if you didn't even say Shmona Esrei because you missed Mashiv Haruach Geshem. Right, and we know that, right, even if you're supposed to say Moed Atala and you accidentally say Mashiv Haruach Geshem, then you also have to repeat Shmona Esrei. So there's that as well. And I think the Gemara in Tainus, which the yeshiva is doing, they're learning Tainus, that I think that they say that it's maybe even deraisa to daven for Geshem. So it's almost like a weird thing that, like, why is there such a focus on Geshem, so much so that if I forget this phrase, I have to research Shmona Esrei. And then all the more so, right, it's Tfilas Geshem and Tfilas, and when we have Tfilas Tal, right, twice a year, there's like, it almost like feels like Yom Kippur. So why is it such a focus? What's the emphasis on Geshem? That's what we're going to talk about. So if you open up Parshas Lech Lecha, to get the fourth Aliyah, it's Perek Gimel, Psuk Pasuk Ches. That's where we're going to talk about. Welcome, Deborah. We're in the Psukim in Parshas Lech Lecha, Bereshis, chapter 13, Pasuk 8. If you find that line you can find a line in Sefaria. But I'm going to read them anyway. So we're in the middle of the story between Avram and Lot, and the Psukim there say, right, that Avram and Lot they traveled. They're in Beitel, and then what happened is Pasuk Chet, it says, "Vayomer Avram el Lot al natahi meriva beini uvenecha uvein rayu uvein re'echa ki anashim achlim anachnu." Right, that there's a fight between Avram's men and Lot's men, right? They're not getting along. So Avram tells Lot, he says, "Okay, I don't want to fight anymore. Right? We're brothers. I don't want to fight anymore." So what did he say? Right? It's a famous story. We know this story that Avram says to Lot, he says, "Okay, we have so much land, right?" He says, if you go right, I go left, right? If you go left, I go right. It's your choice. Go wherever you want, and I'll go the other way, right? That's the story. That's the story of Avram and Lot. So what does Lot do? Pasuk says, "Vayisalote as einav vayarach kol kar yerdin ki chulam ashkel ifnei shafet Hashem estom v'asam rachgan Hashem keretz Yisrael bo achatzor." So what does Lot do? He raises his eyes. He sees this kikar Yarden, how watered it is, right? And he sees that this is the land of stone. Vayivchar Lot as kol kikar Yarden vayisalom mikadem vayipardu ish me'al achiv Avram yashav beretz Kanaan v'lo yashav beriach kikar vayahalad stone. So Lot goes to stone, and Avram goes the other direction, right? Avram goes to Eretz Canaan, and all's good, right? So question is, right, what happens next in the Psukim is we know it's not all good, right? Lot goes to Sodom, and then the city is a terrible place and the city gets destroyed. So the first question that we're going to deal with tonight is Avram was a smart guy. He was a tzaddik, right? And he also cared about his nephew Lot. So okay, it's true they were fighting, but he says, you go right, I go left, right? Seems to be saying, you go right, I go left. He's giving Lot the option to pick stone. Why would Avram give Lot that option to pick stone? Doesn't make so much sense. Should have said, okay, maybe if you want to go somewhere else, go over there. We can split up, right? But we have the whole land to split up. Why is he telling him you could go to stone? So that's the first question. So really, it's not really a question because the way I translate the psukim is a little bit misleading, right? When it says small ve'amin, it doesn't really mean right or left, at least according to Unclos's translation. He says it means north or south. So very quickly, I just want to share a map of Israel, because when I heard this year, I made sure to look on a map. But so he wants to say, so this is where Ben Shwan, he wanted to say. So I couldn't find a map with both Sodom and Beit El, which is where Avram and Lot were, but I think Beit El was over here. You can see my mouse, right? I think it was right over here. So he's telling Lot, you can go north or south. He says, if you go north, I'll go south, right? That's the translation of Yamin and small in this situation, is north and south. So he says, if you go north, I'll go south. If you go south, I'll go north. But where does Lot go? He doesn't go really. I guess he kind of goes south, but he doesn't. It's not really south. South would be along this way. He's going here. This is Stone. He's going over here to Stone, which is the opposite direction. So why did he go there? Right? Let me just stop the share screen. So why did he go there? So if you look back at the psukim, right, you could almost see it, right? It's Pasuk Yud. Vayisalota eseinav. Lot raised his eyes. Vayars kol kikar Yordain ki chulam mashke. Right, he sees this land, right, and it's all water. Lifnei shachis Hashem estom v'amara kigan Hashem keret Mitzrayim. Right, and he goes over there, in that way, right. And also, if you look at Pasuk Yud Aleph, it says that Lot chose this land by Lot Mikedem, that Lot went toward the east, right? Which according to the map makes sense. Stone is to the east. It's not north or south. So really that's the interesting explanation of the psukim, right? And it kind of answers up for what Avram did. But it's a little bit besides the point. The point we're going to focus on is like, what's the difference? Okay, like stone, not stone. Well, what was wrong about going to this place? So, right, according to the simple explanation, right, it's just that Lot goes to this place, Stone, that's a wealthy place, and he wants to make money, right? But it's really more than that. So if you look at, if you still have your Chumash open, we're going to go to Devarim, Perek Yud Aleph, Pasuk Yud. Just wait 1 minute for you to get there. And we're going to talk about, because it said in the psukim, forgot to emphasize this point, right, that it's a little bit weird, but in Pasuk Yud, right, when it talks about where Lot's looking up in his eyes, it's interesting because the Pasuk compares Stone to Eretz Mitzrayim. I'll just read you the Pasuk in case you lost your place. It says, Lifnei shachis Hashem es Stone v'samra kigan Hashem ki Eretz Mitzrayim, that the land of Stone was like the land of Mitzrayim. Okay, so that's a good observation, and now we're going to see why it's relevant. So if you go back to Devarim Yud Aleph Pasuk Yud, so the Pasuk reads, right, we're talking about Bnei Yisrael before they go into Eretz Mitzrayim, and Moshe was talking to them. So it says, Ki Aretz asher tava shama l'rishta, the land which you're about to enter, right, the land of Israel, is lo Eretz Mitzrayim. It's not like the land of Mitzrayim, Asher Yitzatem Misham, which you left. Asher Tizra Zarcha Vishti Severaglacha Gigana Yurak. Right, the land of Egypt, right? This land that you're going to is not like the land of Mitzrayim. The land of Mitzrayim, there you if you wanna water the grain, right, you do it with your legs. What does it mean with your legs? Probably means like they had the Nile River in Egypt. So I assume it means that like you took water and you went and you put it where you need to go. You watered it by walking places, right? It was almost like you were in control, right? If you worked hard enough, you could have good land. That's the land of Mitzrayim. That's how it functions. But the next pasuk says, the land which you're going into, this is the land of hills and valleys, and it gets its rain where? From a shamayim, not from yourself, not from the legs, not from you taking it. It comes straight from the sky. So, I mean, if I would ask you, right, which would you rather? How would you rather get rain? Would you rather? I mean, how would you rather get water? Would you rather be in control of it and be able to go take water, or would you rather have to like wait for the rain to come? So probably, I don't know about you guys, but probably I'd rather be able to get the water myself. It's in my control. If I want it, I'll get it. If I work hard, I'm going to get it. Makes a lot of sense, right? But that's not what the Psukim are saying. The Psukim are saying that the land of Israel, right, which is getting rain from Shemaim, is better. And the next pasuk says, why is that so? I don't understand. So the pasuk tells us, it says, pasuk Yud, that Eretz Asher Hashem Elokecha Doreshu Sta Tamid Einei Hashem Elokecha Ba Mirishisa Shana V'Yad Acharita Shana. The land which your God Hashem looks after, which your God Hashem always keeps an eye from beginning to year's end, right? This is why the land of Israel is special, because as opposed to Egypt, right, where you're able to almost feel like you did it on your own, right, that I'm in control, I did it on myself, right? The land of Israel is you're totally reliant on the Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? You depend on Kadosh Baruch Hu the entire year long, right? So maybe this is what's going on, right? Lod is saying that, he says, I'm kind of done being in Israel. Like I don't want to rely on the Kadosh Baruch Hu anymore. I want to be in self-control. You saw, right, the land, Sodom was like the land of Mitzrayim, right? That it was, if you wanted water, you were able to get it. And this makes a lot of sense, because we know, right, that what's the midah of Sodom, right? The one attribute of Sodom that we say, right, is they hold shali, shalcha. That what's mine is mine, and what's yours is yours. You only have this perspective, really, if you think that everything that you have comes from yourself, right? That if I think that the reason why I have money, right, the reason why I have success is because basically I earned it and I did it myself, right? Then why should I share with anyone else? Why should I give to anyone else? It's all mine. I earned it, right? But if you understand that it doesn't really come from yourself, then you're more willing to share and to give with others, right? And so that's the opposite of Sodom, right? And that's why Sodom, they didn't, right? We know about Sodom that they hated guests. They didn't like any guests, right? There's that right, that people say that the guests that would come to Sodom, right, they would kill even the guests, right? We have a story with the Malach and Lot, right? Because they were willing to be open, which is essentially the opposite of Avram Avinu, right? Who's Hachnasas Orchim. That was literally his trait that we define Avram by. And so this is really the difference between Sodom and the land of Eretz Canaan, also and Mitzrayim and Canaan, right? And so this is this same idea, right? Sorry, just before one more point is that it's interesting is that even the descendants of Lot, Ammon and Moab, we know that we're not supposed to. The Psukim tell us that we're not supposed to marry into. We're not supposed to let Ammon and Moab, who are descendants of Lot, into. We're not supposed to marry them. They're not supposed to come into Bnei Israel. So the question is why. So many people want to say because they're immoral. But the Psukim tell us, right, that the reason is What's the reason? Is because we were traveling, right? We Bnei Yisrael were traveling, and Ammon and Moab, right? They didn't basically, we asked for them to basically go through their lands, and they didn't let us go in through the land. It's the same idea, right? It's like, why should I give to you passageway through my land if it's mine? I earned it, right? It's really these contrasting ideas between Sodom and Eretz Canaan. And that's just to bring it back into Geshem, right? We see what's the importance of rain, what's the Mila to Geshem, to asking for Geshem, is to understand, right, that it's, if you're fully relying on rain and not on yourself to bring water, you'll understand that everything that you have doesn't come from you. It comes from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And that's really what we're doing when we're asking for rain, is we're expressing, right, that everything we have and everything that we need comes from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's all God. It's Geshem, right? It's Eretz Yisrael is the land where we're fully relying on Geshem, right? It's coming totally from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And that's why, like Gemara will sometimes called davening vai, which means need, that we're expressing that we need a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And so that's really the symbol of, that's what Tfilas Geshem is really symbolizing, that everything that we have, our source for goodness is a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And just to one more point is that I saw in the Mishnah Berurah that he explains. He says, why do we put Mashiv Haruach in Tchias HaMesim? Why is it in this bracha that talks about the revival of the dead? And so he says that the reason is, I'll just read to you his line. He says, Mipnei Hageshamim Hem Chaim La'olam Tchias HaMesim. The reason is because the rain is literally life for the world, right? And so I think in a way he's almost alluding to this point, that Geshem is a symbol of life. And when we say Mashiv Haruach and read a Geshem, we're recognizing that everything that we have in this world is from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's not really ours. And that should be our kavanah when we say Mashiv Haruach and read a Geshem. And really, to answer our first question, right, how come we have to say Shemona Esrei again? How come our tefillah is not a good tefillah if we said Mashiv Haruach and read a Geshem? And the answer might be, maybe the answer is because if you forget to say Mashiv Haruach and read a Geshem, you're missing the entire point of davening. The entire point of davening is recognizing that it's not mine. I didn't earn it. It all comes because the Kadosh Baruch Hu gave it to me. And if you miss that point, right, what is your tefillah? You can't have a tefillah without that. And so that's maybe some of the kavanah that we should have as we say Mashiv Haruach and read a Geshem for the next several months. That's all I have. So if anyone has any questions or any comments, please feel free.